So as part of the lead up to Marvel's Civil War II, what I want to do here is begin by focusing on individual characters and teams who will play a role in the events, starting with Captain Marvel. And what I'm hoping is that in addition to my existing videos on her character prior to Secret Wars, this video will serve to establish how she has evolved in both the Secret Wars and post-Secret Wars landscape of Marvel Comics. So like most of my all-new, all-different lineup, understanding of Carol Danvers within the new Marvel Prime landscape resides in the pre-Secret Wars rebranding of Marvel Now. While we can't speculate on whether or not Secret Wars was originally designed to be a reboot and scrapped during the planning process, for the most part, the comic community agrees on the idea that with virtually all stories and events within Marvel Comics laying the foundation for the Secret Wars event itself, Marvel Now fell in line with this idea by seeing a shakeup of Marvel's line, reworking various characters and teams who in turn would be featured in the Marvel Prime universe using their Marvel Now platform. Written by Kelly Sue DeConnick with art from David Lopez, because the life of Carol Danvers saw her viewing the original Captain Marvel as a hero to look up to in addition to being an ally on several occasions, since the title had officially been vacated following his death in 1984's classic story by Jim Starlin, Captain Marvel Volumes 7 and 8 were launched in 2012 and 2014 and centered on Carol Danvers stepping into that role. Initially presented to her by Steve Rogers due to her various escapades over the life of her career since the development of her powers, Carol's feelings on officially adopting the mantle of Captain Marvel came with a bit of trepidation. To sidetrack for a second, within Marvel Comics, the original Captain Marvel was named Mar-Vell and hailed from the Kree Empire but turned traitor and allied himself with Earth's heroes against the Kree, the Accuser Corps, who acted as the main law enforcement body, as well as the Kree leader, the Supreme Intelligence, a massive computer composed of the most gifted minds of the Kree race, as well as its past leaders. While Mar-Vell experienced his own waxes and wanes in terms of popularity among readers, on the whole, he functioned as a kind of universal protector, appointed to that position by Eon, one of the cosmic entities who serves to protect the life energies of the universe, with Captain Marvel coming into conflict like Thanos, and allowing Marvel Comics to expand on their overall cosmic landscape. Where his death in 1984 saw the position emptied with no one taking its place, within the Marvel Universe, this was both a sign of respect due to his legacy in terms of Captain Marvel's involvement in the lives of almost all of the Earth's heroes, as well as the idea that no one had ever really elected to take his place. That said, for Carol Danvers, the development of her powers and exposure to the superhero community came after witnessing a battle between Mar-Vell and his former superior, Yon-Rogg. Coming along as part of Mar-Vell's journey in taking sides against the Kree, the battle between the two occurred in Cape Canaveral, which housed several nuclear weapons, which Yon-Rogg intended to use as a means to wipe out humanity. With Carol stationed as a member of the United States Air Force, during the conflict, she had been exposed to a machine called the Psych-Magnetron, a device not unlike the Cosmic Cube, in that it granted the wishes of its user by altering matter and energy. Enamored with the bravery and power of Mar-Vell and his desire to protect humanity, during the battle, Danvers was exposed to the Psych-Magnetron by accident, while simultaneously wishing to become an equal to Mar-Vell. Now, where Carol's publications would go on to see her endowed with the powers of superhuman strength, speed, stamina, durability, and flight, as well as energy absorption and projection, up until the time of his death and after, Mar-Vell always functioned as Danvers' idol in her attempt to carve out her own niche within the superhero community. To this end, much like the original Mar-Vell who crossed paths with both Earthbound and spacefaring heroes, under the writing of DeConnick, Volume 7 saw Danvers crossing over with the veritable who's who of the universe, including Iron Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Jason of Spartax, the leader of the Shertoy Empire, and father to Peter Quill. Using this to establish Carol as a de facto protector of the universe, even if only due to circumstance, after spending several issues thinking over the idea, Danvers eventually agreed that as someone who had developed her powers in response to Mar-Vell and spent a large portion of her life looking to him as a role model, it made sense to tap into the legacy and become the next hero to don the mantle of Captain Marvel. Continuing on for the next several years and into the realm of Marvel Now, which served to refresh various teams and characters with new number ones, new writers, and new artists for struggling titles, because Danvers' comic had been regularly performing in the top 20 of Marvel's releases, there was no real reason to change the formula, meaning that Kelly Sue DeConnick remained on as writer and continued her expansion on Carol Danvers' role within the Marvel Universe. Now, having said all of that, where DeConnick continued the solo and team-up adventures of Danvers within the pages of her own series, writer Jonathan Hickman had been in the process of leading up to Secret Wars during his time on Avengers and New Avengers, where this initially presented questions in terms of how Danvers' continuity fit into the ongoing events due to her being off-planet for the entirety of DeConnick's run. Marvel solved this question by jumping the Avengers and New Avengers stories forward by 8 months, with issues 35 and 24 respectively, while maintaining the continuity of Danvers and other titles. What this meant was that where Captain Marvel Volume 8 did run until 2015 with the cancellation of all titles and the start of All New All Different Marvel, her story, like all others outside of the events within Avengers and New Avengers in Last Days, all took place within the 8-month window. Now, with the main Secret Wars events unfolding with Reed Richards, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and others working to overthrow Doom's new world and set things back to rights, Marvel initiated a series of ancillary tie-ins that both provided a depiction of various characters and events from alternate realities, but also experimented with the existing heroes using fan reception as a gauge for the post-Secret Wars landscape. With DeConnick returning for the self-contained 4-part miniseries, because her work had elevated Carroll to being the headliner of Marvel's female-led titles and teams, Danvers was provided her own group in the form of the Carroll Corps, with the publication acting as a tribute to the past while looking to the future, but also reworking existing teams with the pre-Secret Wars line. Since the original publications of Danvers had her rooted in the Air Force and maintaining ties to the military even after the introduction of her powers, DeConnick rolled this over by having the Carroll Corps function as an elite fighter squadron. At the same time, with Danvers, Kamala Khan, Black Widow, and the Inhuman Queen Medusa blazing the trail for popular, powerful, and capable women in comics, young female readers had absolutely fallen in love with the work of DeConnick and the leadership capabilities of Danvers. As a result, and in order to maintain the existing audience base as well as provide new content that could be used following the conclusion of Secret Wars, the Carroll Corps was established as a multicultural team of women. Now, to focus on this for a second, since this group will serve as part of All New All Different Marvel, the Carroll Corps in and of themselves were actually a reworked version of a previously existing team called the Banshee Squadron. Created by DeConnick in Captain Marvel issue number 2, the Banshees were more akin to Nick Fury's old Howling Commandos, with DeConnick referring to them as such, and that each member of the team had their own personalities and unique traits which make them relatable to young women. Taken from DeConnick's website, Jerry is a Nick Fury analog in that she has dark hair piled high on her head and a beauty mark on her face like Marilyn Monroe or Cindy Crawford. Mackie is the Dum Dum Dugan analog in that, like the iconic hero, she is a redhead with a fiery personality and the right hand of Jerry. Moving to B, she was designed to be the all-American girl hailing from a French mother and a Japanese father and represents Dino Manelli. Daisy Diddle represents Rebel Ralston due to her petite blonde form, but also sporting the same brown rifle, with Rivka being the Izzy Cohen analog. Now, where Captain Marvel and the Carroll Corps focused heavily on Carol Danvers exploring the world around them while running into opposition from the Thor Corps, who served as Doom's police, enforcing the boundaries of Battleworld, writer Kelly Sue DeConnick was actually on her way out. Covered in an article published by the Mary Sue, a geek culture hub for movies, television, video games, technology, and comics, while DeConnick's work had placed significant emphasis on Danvers' character, allowing her personality, leadership capabilities, and strength as a woman to take precedent over her powers, with the announcement of a Captain Marvel film slated for 2018, DeConnick had resonated that the film would likely draw from the all-new, all-different Marvel landscape, or at least some portion of it. Coming to the conclusion that she would likely have to stay on as writer for several more years, DeConnick vacated her position in order to focus on personal projects, including Bitch Planet, Pretty Deadly, and the television adaptation of Matt Fraction's Sex Criminals. Coming under the control of Tara Butters, a writer and producer for shows like Agent Carter, Hawaii Five-0, and Dollhouse, as well as Law & Order Special Victims Unit, the newly launched Captain Marvel Volume 9 saw Carol Danvers taking over as director of S.W.O.R.D. To sidetrack here, during his run on Astonishing X-Men, in addition to some of the character changes made to the X-Men roster proper, including the return of Colossus, writer Joss Whedon had introduced the Sentient World Observation and Response Department. Coming out of Earth experiencing various invasions and conflicts with extraterrestrial races, unlike Armor, which focuses on alternate realities, and S.H.I.E.L.D., which focus on threats within the Earth, S.W.O.R.D. observes and analyzes all things in the universe, determining their threat level and cataloging them for future reference. Originally led by Abigail Brand, a mutant alien hybrid who possessed the power to burn objects on contact, as well as reshaping her tongue, allowing her to speak any alien language, because All New All Different Marvel was designed to shake up the status quo, if not reboot, like most of Marvel's landscape, S.W.O.R.D. saw a wholesale reworking. With Abigail Brand acting as the counterpart to Nick Fury within S.W.O.R.D., these duties were handed over to Carol Danvers within the main Captain Marvel publications, allowing Tara Butters to shift Abigail Brand down to second in command, while fleshing out Danvers' character and explore her relationship to the original Captain Marvel. While it's only around 4 issues in so far, the events unfolded by seeing S.W.O.R.D. maintaining its traditional role of monitoring extraterrestrial threats while also consisting of the Alpha Flight Squadron. Where the group was previously associated with Canada as a government-sanctioned superhero team not unlike the second iteration of X-Factor, the problem faced by Marvel was that Alpha Flight was always viewed as a poor man's X-Men. Where they had tried to boost popularity for the group by incorporating crossovers with Wolverine, on the whole, aside from name recognition, Alpha Flight's solo series always performed poorly, with very few readers taking them seriously. Looking to rectify this problem, under Tara Butters, Alpha Flight was rolled in as a kind of elite task force for SWORD, helping to carry out both reconnaissance and strike missions that fell in line with SWORD's charter. Now, having said all of that, while I will have a video proper on the Ultimates team, especially now that Galactus is being used as a means to explore the all-new, all-different universe and answer our questions in terms of the continuities, where Carol Danvers is the frontrunner within her own solo series, in the all-new, all-different Ultimates, she's more of a side-along character. Because the Ultimates exists as a version of the Avengers team focusing on problems that threaten the Marvel Prime universe as a whole, the team fit perfectly in line with the new Carol Danvers, allowing her to use the resources of SWORD to complement the intelligence of Black Panther and Blue Marvel, as well as the universal powers of Monica Rambeau and America Chavez. While the Ultimates themselves would go on to transform Galactus from the Devourer of Worlds to the Lifebringer, as well as form a cosmic cube and witness the return of Thanos, these are topics that I want to save for the Ultimates video, since the actions of their team will serve as a catalyst for the events of Civil War II and the conflict between Iron Man and Carol Danvers. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.